Hello, good afternoon. Welcome back to the second session of APAC Pharma Tech Innovation Conclave. In the inaugural, we had a dedicated session on how we can see uh, that India has emerged as the pharma hub of the world. What is the present scenario? What are the challenges and what is the way ahead? And there we saw the presence of eminent speakers from NIPR, National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education Research, from IDMA, from Dana Pharmaceuticals, from Cadila, from FineCure, and from Bharat Serums. And all of them have touched upon various aspects of pharma industry, present situation, and how the future looks like, the policy perspective, the collaborative perspective, industry academia collaboration perspective, investing in innovation. All these things have been discussed. Importance of technology and digitization of the processes, automation, everything has been discussed in the inaugural session. And now we have come to a very important part of this summit. This session is all about redefining pharma sector through newest technologies like IoT, AI, ML, and blockchain. That is how digital transformation is taking place in this pharma sector. And for that, we have with us eminent speakers from various companies. Let me first introduce to all of you Mr. Srinivasa Reddy, Vice President and CIO, Granules India Limited. We welcome Mr. Reddy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We're also joined by Mahidhwaj Sisodia, Head International Formulation Business, Cadila Pharmaceuticals Limited. We welcome Mr. Sisodia. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Souvik. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everybody.
We're also joined by Dr. Avadhut Parab, AVP IT, Wockhardt Limited. Thank you, Dr. Parab. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, Souvik. Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone.
So in this session, we are going to touch base upon three core subjects. That is, role of newest technologies to make affordable and quality drugs, cyber resilience, making it a high priority, and also what are the new trends of data science in the pharmaceutical industry. And we'll also touch base upon the global trends of digitization in terms of using newest technologies. We'll be touching on these four core areas in this discussion. Let me first go to Mr. Srinivasa Reddy, Vice President CIO, Granules India Limited. Mr. Reddy, my first question to you will be that how do you see that role of new technologies like IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, how this new emerging technologies actually can make a difference when we talk about making affordable and quality drugs? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Thank you, Souvik. Welcome all. As far as the digital transformation is concerned, first of all, I should say, historically, if you see the pharmaceutical industry is a little bit slow on this area, because the most important aspect for pharmaceutical industry is the regulatory compliance and the regulatory approvals and all those stuff. So, but since the COVID issue has started, so this digitalization has picked up the boom, and everybody's priority has changed. So as far as this digital transformation is concerned, it is at this moment it is very, very important for organization, especially in pharmaceutical industry, under various aspects. The one is when we introduce this kind of automations, process automations, including especially in the manufacturing areas like IoT sector and the cyber security. So all these aspects are now became the top priority for an organization, and there are various advantages over it. The one is probably we can say the better yield improvement and data integrity and audit compliance, because due to these technologies, so we are decreasing the human dependency. Also, there is a huge reduction of the human related issues or mistakes or human errors like that. So of course, digital transformation or automations are a welcome for the industry. And to achieve this, obviously, since this manufacturing sector is full of various equipments, OEMs, service providers, vendors, and all. So what I strongly believe is unless and until we bring the technological coordination across these verticals, so the digital transformation is not that easy task. And also we need to increase the coordination and participation across the cross-functional teams. That is one, because implementing the technology alone is not going to help us or solve the current situation. So as far as the technology is concerned, yes, we have various topics like Internet of Things or industrial Internet of Things, or nowadays we have started using AR and VR, and we can also use some kind of machine learning and artificial intelligence so that we can automate a lot of activities, manual activities, especially in pharmaceutical industry and R&D sectors. So we can reduce a lot of manufacturing cost or operational expenses. That's the best part of adopting this automations in pharmaceutical industry.
Right, right. Insightful, quite interesting take by Mr. Srinivasa Reddy. I'll come to Mr. Mahidhwaj Sisodia. He is the head of International Formulation Business, Cadila Pharmaceuticals Limited. Mr. Sisodia, my question to you will be that when we talk about the global perspective, the global scenario of leveraging newest technologies like IoT, AI, and as Mr. Srinivasa Reddy was telling that it actually helps in manufacturing or operational cost. So, what's your experience of using this kind of newest technologies when it comes to digitization in the global perspective? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, Souvik, thank you very much once again. And I'm sure my co-panelists would be more competent and equipped to talk about the technical part of it. But let me say one from the management perspective and also from commercial side, that digital transformation or digital as a focus has never been such a priority as it has been today in any kind of organizations. And pharmaceutical also is no two ways about it. In fact, as Mr. Srinivas said, and I agree with him, that when it comes to pharmaceutical industry, we have been laggard in certain space when it comes about digitization. And that too, despite the fact, which I keep on saying, that when it comes to manufacturing capabilities, India has one of the best manufacturing capabilities in the world. And therefore, we are the prominent suppliers of pharmaceuticals around the world. And not only the generics now, but beyond that. So one thing which has for sure happened is that digitization was always going to be focused, but come COVID-19, and it has taken much more priority over anything else. And this has touched almost all aspects of pharmaceutical industry, whether it's about production, supply chain, and so on and so forth. And when I'm talking about digitization, I'm including all aspects of it, whether IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, etc., and so on and so forth. So if I have to typically look into the artificial intelligence or machine learning, definitely it has touched upon R&D, drug development, diagnosis, clinical trials, manufacturing, etc. But what's important for me to share from commercial point of view or from the market touch point of view is that we have never been so near to our users to get their demand, their understanding of what they require. And this has been possible through the advanced analytics. Even though we have crossed certain journey as on date, but we have a long way to go. But we have understood well that what they are looking for and what is the best way to approach them. So all our services and products have become more targeted. And it's not about India alone, but from all across the geographies, because we are the prominent supplier of medicine, as you know, across the world. And also one of the key things which has got help from here is the remote monitoring, because whether we like it or not, developing countries still remain the target markets for Indian pharmaceutical industry, and infrastructure issues have been quite important one, because it's not about the capital of those countries or the main cities of the countries, but it's beyond that. And remote monitoring, as it has helped in India, it has helped there. to approach to not only the doctors but the patients also, and make your products available to them. And in all these efforts, AI and ML have really played a role beyond we could have imagined. And similar way, blockchain applications also, they have allowed us to monitor the authenticity of the drug a lot more as compared to earlier times. So as you must have heard about, as a genuine quality manufacturers, we've been concerned about the counterfeits, have been concerned about the copying of our products and brands, leading brands. But now, as the time is going by, and as you know, you must have heard about, there is a lot of activities already has happened in field of track and trace through the serialization, and which has already started taking place in markets like Europe, but it's going to the other places also. And I'm sure the blockchain is going to play a critical role in coming times to track and verify the authenticity of the drug towards the supply chain and all the steps of the supply chain. So this is all in all, we are in very interesting time, and I'm sure this time the digitization is going to help us to derive more efficiency and more authenticity across the value chain for sure. That's my initial thought for you.
Thank you, Mahidhwaj, Sisodia. You rightly pointed out on the importance of leveraging AI, other emerging technologies, especially blockchain, how it can help, and it is helping. I'll come back to you. Let's have a perspective from Dr. Avadhut Parab, AVP IT, Wockhardt Limited. Dr. Parab, your take on that. How well are we using or leveraging newest technologies, or should we do more? What's your take on that?
Good afternoon, and thank you, Souvik. There is a shift from a risk-focused approach to a digital field, which only COVID could do that, and in a very short period of time. Pharma industry was investing a lot to ensure that we are protected from from our risk, whether it is a compliance system, whether it is a transaction automation system, and all. But suddenly, what happened is the compliance is not the only the component which we could live with it has become more of a hygiene factor, and companies' focus has moved from the hygiene to a business side. Now, when the COVID happened, we had only two choices, whether to swim or sink, and in that case, the only saver was how do we leverage the technology, because it always had a challenges, but it has a lot of avenues and opportunities. And these technologies, as every one of us started last year, remote as a service in anything, whether to access the system, whether to access our customer profiles, whether to connect with the partners, to also have a virtual audit. So these scenarios suddenly started making the matured system completely handicapped. And how do you make that still survive and excel? And the only option was to embrace the digital technology, and which were reliable, of course. There was no thought. So that emerged out various technologies. Let's say there were three categories of the people in pharma. One, corporate people who can work from anywhere. There was another set of people who are a field force. They were always, whether it is COVID or before COVID, they were any which way on the field. And third category was R&D and manufacturing people. Now, if you want to make the impact of COVID down, then you had different scenarios under which you could apply this new emerging technology. And I'm sure all of us, including Wockhardt or other companies, have already initiated into this. And I want to cite some of the few prominent use cases where all of us has embraced, and it has started giving the benefit. As simple as that is an IoT, which is a predictive maintenance, where we knew that because of the shortage of the people, earlier there was a lot of monitoring which happened, visual monitoring, going to different equipments, components, and all. They could give you a comfort, but that was not the case. And then I don't think we have a handful of the people where we can just keep doing that. So predictive maintenance, which is doing IoT, has not only given us a big relief that It has moved from 100% inspection to a review by exception. So this mood has, and it is quite stable in the industry now. Many people have adopted, and it started giving us, you suddenly freed the resource concentration to required and not just. So that's one area of IoT which you said. Some of the people also have put into employee safety as an IoT, where there are cards which are IoT driven, and how the movement of the people, just to avoid the social distancing, that card will buzz if the distance is defined between the two people is 1.5 meter or 2 meter, whatever it is. It will buzz that this person has come in close contact with these people, or unnecessary people are moving from a workstation to the second workstation. All those health safety part, or somebody is fallen and there is a self SOS button. So these are some of the IoT solution from the safety, from the employee productivity. They are already into the market. Many of us have already embraced them, and they are going to be they will they will connect people, equipments, and the environment where we are in. So that has given a connection to shop floor to top floor. So this is something which we spoke about IoT, other than the some of the old age machines equipment which we have it, and though we don't want to invest into capex, but we can still get their data through the sensors for us to see how we can improvise on our productivity and efficiency side. Now, while we talk about this, blockchain is very, very emerging technology, and we see also it is taking a very good break into the pharmaceutical. We tried a trade finance as one of the option for, and the three axes on which we took it as a blockchain is primarily a concept where you have a distributed ledger, where your systems are there are multi-party, and they don't want to expose the system to you want that to be tracked, and there is a traceability with need to do basis. So my example could be contract manufacturing. We do in pharma. This is a very, very typical scenario where you have multiple manufacturers, and you want them, their system, they may not expose as much as you don't want to expose them, but at the same time, information will make you to take a better decision to minimize the loss, material loss, inventory management, availability to promise, material getting on time, and OTIF, and so many measures you can do it because of the blockchain. That's one system, because it is fairly a secured one, a distributed ledger. Everyone get to know what happens. So also trade finance you can do, contract lab you can do this. So avenues of blockchains are also coming. It's a matter of the resources availability, your internal competency to understand the canvas, what technology can do it, and then start applying. It might bring some challenges, but I think it is fairly going well. AI ML is fairly maturing, and AI ML has started moving from a classical way of looking at the data, which was a descriptive in nature. We were well acquaintance with the dashboards, whether it is quality metrics, whether it is OEE or other all kind of things which are descriptive in nature. It started moving us from descriptive to predictive. It start from descriptive to prescriptive, and I'm sure come another couple of years we will be in the world of prediction rather than just description. Like post-mortem is something all of us know, then it doesn't really add a great value, but it gives you some perspective for cognitive thinking that we will be there. So AI ML is coming from the customer perspective. Huge application we signed. Whether can I know whether I will meet the target or not, based on the individual, based on a zone, based on my territory, where I am able to do it or not. You see AP automation. You will also see a lot of AI application happening. So over and above, we are also looking at a natural language generation as one of the component which is coming in a big way, where the thought behind this is how everyone can uh, decode the data which is seen in a similar way. So the data will be definitely presented on a graphical, but it will also convert into a bullet point of what this data represents. So these are some of the areas. R&D, you see, when a clinical phase, we use a lot of natural language generation. When the phase 3 is complicated, when you want to generate a report, the context search, contact build, otherwise was taking 6 months, 8 months, and now it is quicker. So these are a matured solutions which all of us are experiencing. AI ML is a general in manufacturing. Also, you can use them for golden badge to find it out. So it's a canvas where we need to just embrace it. Use case needs to be seen. AR, VR is also being used for remote audits, which are started. We are experiencing. So scenarios are coming, and digital technologies are becoming a good assistance to us. And come another 1 year, I'm sure it would be one of the biggest assistance within the organization. It is a sustainable one. Technology is maturing. There are challenges. We should not wait for things to mature, but we should keep embracing. So that's my view, Souvik, overall.
Wonderful view, Dr. Avadhut, Parab. We have to embrace technology. That's the reality, and we should not shy away for using technology, especially the newest technologies. And as you have rightly pointed out, the advantage of using these newest technologies. I'll come to Mr. Srinivasa Reddy and to Mr. Mahidhwaj also, but I'll first again come to Dr. Avadhut Parab with a new set of questions. That is, when we're talking about digital disruptions using newest technologies, leveraging innovation, everything's said and done. At the same time, it also enhances the risk of cyber attacks. So that is also a very important factor. The more you use technology, more there is a threat of cyber threat is there. So are the organizations doing much to make cyber resilience a higher priority in the organization? What's your take on that, Dr. Abdul?
Indeed. So cyber security is now has become up as a QBD. It's like a by design. It's no longer I will make the system, I will have this, and I will then protect the system. So it is no longer that. So the consideration is by design. Now, when we make this statement, it's not that something different I'm saying, but by design means it is the first question is how will you make the threat actors difficult to hack your system, to hack your crown jewel. So your design starts from this basic question. And then while you're talking about this to address this question, now whether you follow layered approach from the outer ring to your crown jewels, or you follow some other vendor suggested. The first important part why when you address it, all the attacks which have happened in the recent past or earlier in the different forms and for malware or normal attack, what has failed is detection. The response and action to it is never failed, but what has failed is the detection. So mean time to detect, mean time to response, and mean time to prevent time. So detection is something which is very, very important, and whether your system, product, process are capable of detecting it, or your processes are or technology tools are not designed to detect it. And while we are thinking for the first question, just configurable product based on the rules may not lead you there, but it needs to be a combination of the configurable tool as well as the AI and ML tool. And AI and ML tools, you need to put it from endpoint to your network traffic, to your incoming flow of emails, incoming flow of documents. And at each level, you need to have a gatekeeper, which is not the same product. You need to have a different product, because if you have a one product which has all the layers, then it might fail. So If one fails, second catches, second fails, third catches. So we followed something called a Chakravyuh approach, which is a Mahabharata principle. We drew it from there, and we created a Chakravyuh approach. Easy to enter, sometimes one or two, but it is not easy to penetrate, not too easy to go out as well. So that's the fundamental which we have, and then we are fairly successful in that that approach today. This is what happens. So people go and buy the product because the product talks about the capability, but capability with respect to your design matters a lot. So earlier you detect and prevent it, it is better. So the focus is, just to summarize, the focus has to be how you make the life of a threat actor difficult, to whether you have a detection mechanism far superior. Both, it has to be not product, but it has to be monitoring as well as this, as well as the product. And how do you protect the crown jewels in the form of different circles, different Chakravyuh circle, and you make it, you catch the attacker at some circle before he gets into your crown jewel. So and now this is something which is well appreciated by board also, because now they want us also to tell them how secure we are. And one of the area where in the days of COVID, in the days of remote working, in the days of working from anywhere, we also believe that no matter how good you boast about yourself, to get it certified from third party, not one or two, get it certified from one or two third parties, saying that you are better off. And the more better you are, please do not forget that everyone has to have a cyber insurance in place. So no matter how good you are, you can always be hacked for some reason or the other. It could be even as simple as a normal phishing mail where you pay to that person, or it could be any malware coming in. So cyber insurance, how you make it tough to buy by design, how do you choose the product, how do you choose the combination of AI ML product as well as the proven configurable product, and the structure of you should keep you very safe. That's my view, and this is our experience as well.
Right, true. Right, quite right, Dr. Avadhut, Parab. I think what Mr. Parab was trying to say is that so making cyber resilience of utmost importance for any organization, be it pharma organization, any organization who are usually leveraging technology. I think it's no more a luxury; it's a necessity, and more we create those kind of mechanism, more we can avert the cyber attack threats, and that is the need of the hour. Mr. Reddy, your take on this?
Yes, thank you, sir. So, as Parab said, absolutely, that's what our major focus at this moment. So, I just want to add two more angles to it. Now, the one is the end point, where the most importantly, the in the chain of the block, the most important factor is the OT systems, where the actual journey starts. In pharma industry. So if you see the current maturity levels or the modernization levels at the OT level, we are still lagging. So that's one of the major focus area where we need to concentrate. How we can secure the entire system, because maybe our data center and our top layers are well equipped and highly secure, and all the setups are in place, but when our endpoints got compromised, then this the whole Chakravyuh will get collapsed. So OT area is one primary concern we need to focus, so that we can complete this circle of the cyber resilience. And the second area what we need to focus is the middleware. So where we will be implementing a lot of MES like systems as a middleware, and people who use these systems. So this front end and the middleware part is also equally important, for the entire organizational cyber surveillance. So these two areas we need to major focus. And the third part is, since the blockchain is not, we cannot see blockchain as a single system. It is a chain of the multiple systems, perhaps multiple vendors as well. So there has to be a tight integration with respect to integrity and the security between all these systems and the OEMs, so that we can have the complete business continuity as well as disaster recovery management. And also we have to have systems like SIM, where the security informations and event management systems, so that proactively we can do all the alerts and logs, so that we know what exactly and where are our cyber strength and all, so that we can we can avoid last minute surprises. And the other thing is, though we have what you say, all the systems in place and all the ACLs are in place and all the rules and everything is in place, but still, uh, as Avadhut said, if the people, whoever is using these systems, if they got, suppose some phishing email, it could be some phishing email, or it could be some, sometimes we give remote sessions to service engineers or vendors. So, we also need to be very, very careful when we are giving this kind of open tunnels to the outside the world, because the one tunnel can create, the free way to the hackers, where they can take the entire setup into the control. So the cultural practices is also one of the critical parameter what we need to focus, because one employee can, the break the entire security loop. So that also we need to be very, very careful when we are designing the entire cyber infrastructure.
Right, right. Mr. Reddy, you talked about that, keeping in mind various points while designing designing the ecosystem, and also what are the areas where integration should happen in terms of using blockchain. That's quite important. Mr. Mahidhwaj, your take on that. Uh, how much or why we should make cyber resilience perhaps the highest priority, uh, or one of the highest priorities for any pharma company in today's world.
Yeah, so Souvik, both of my co-panelists has covered the technical part of the entire subject quite comprehensively. But what I have to say from my side, as we told in the beginning of the session, that digitization is the need of hour, and this is going to remain priority factor. And also we have seen it become all the more important when we have seen the record-breaking time approval given to the vaccines, etc. And it would have not been possible without digitization being where it is today. So that's the key focus of digitization. But it would not be successful till the time all the stakeholders, whether internal or external, are sure about the security of it. Because I'm not talking more from the technical point of view, but from the stakeholder point of view. And why do I say so? Because if you're talking about external stakeholders, who you are talking about? You're talking about mostly the medical fraternity and the trade. And if you're talking about any of these tools of digitization, whether it's ML, AI, IoT, we are talking about collection of vast data pertaining to the patients, processing and analysis of those data, and medical fraternity or the patients would not be sure of providing them till the time they are 100% sure about it. Because what we are talking about very, very sensitive personal information here. And without that, we cannot do it. So therefore, till the time they get a surety from all the people who are been conducting it, they would not participate in the way it should be participated. And similar way, it would get applied to clinical trials, it will get applied to pharmacovigilance, and so on and so forth. We have seen that IoT has played a very, very critical role by predictive analysis when it is used in pharmacovigilance. Also, digitized data has used a lot in regulatory approval, etc. So therefore, it's become very, very critical that environment, communication, and a system is been demonstrated to them that they become participant to it. And similar way, internally, I'm sure any of the organizations which we are representing or otherwise would not venture out in any of these efforts till the time they are sure about it. So needless to say that, and as we can see with any technology, any kind of systemic improvement, as the time goes by, and if securities are not built around in the same proportions, they always boomerang on us. So that would be my take from the users of the systems improvement, digitizations, whatever is coming in. I can share here.
Mahidhwaj, I'll come to other two speakers as well. If I, if we may sum up this session, so my last question to you all will be that you all talked about what are the advantage of using this kind of new age technologies and why, how, and why it is important to have the cyber resilience to make it a higher priority for any organization. I have a different question that what, according to you, that Indian pharma sector as a whole needs to do more in terms of digital disruptions? Maybe one or two sentences on this.
Yeah,
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
okay. So from my side, the most critical component, because most critical component is the endpoint, because at the data center level, yes, all the technologies are available, and as Avadhut said, we also are capable enough to have multiple technologies implementation and multi-layer, multi-factor authentication. So all these we are able to leverage successfully, and we are fulfilling the requirements. But when it comes to the middleware and the endpoint, so we are still, I strongly believe we are still standing in the same unmodernized and legacy era. So for me, the top priority is this area, so that we can complete the cycle. Also, as far as the blockchain is concerned, the most important factor to achieve the success in that area is interoperability and integration. So unless and until we don't modernize our systems, unless and until we don't adopt the new technologies by the shop floor level people and the middle management, so these success we cannot achieve. And of course, now the technology is coming into each and every corner, and especially on the AI part, like for example, virtual reality and augmented reality, for example. So with the help of this, we are able to decrease a lot of operational expenses, and also the response time for kind of troubleshooting activities, or even a lot of cost saving on the capex front, because we are able to do using the virtual reality, a lot of employee trainings and critical assignments. And also there are various process simulators where we can reduce a lot of testing time, especially in R&D areas. We can do a lot of trend analysis and all with this data uh, which is generated by the simulator. So the technologies are everywhere, but unless and until we properly integrate them and establish the proper interoperability, so this entire chain will not get connected. So for me, the most focus area would be the endpoint areas and the middlewares.
Right, quite interesting and very important point raised by Srinivas Reddy. As uh, I was discussing with Mahidhwaj. Mahidhwaj, Sisodia, your take on that? That what needs to be done more?
Yeah, so one area also which has not been talked much about would be about the collaboration between the various stakeholders of the industry. And it can start even from the subject as big as new drug discoveries, or definitely other works what we are talking about. Because we have seen that, when it has happened during the drug discovery phase, many of the multinationals or the originators have come together. They have shared the priceless data among themselves through various technologies. Because as Dr. Avadhut very well mentioned, that if rather this technology allow you to share the information, data, etc., but at the same time remaining in your comfort zone, remaining secure, controlling it the way you want it to be controlled. So that these technologies can allow you to come together, share the information the way you want to share, but at the same time reach to an endpoint, keeping the cost under control, because definitely the costs are spiraling on various spheres of the activities. And if those costs can be controlled, definitely our offerings to the patients, to the human beings, would always be affordable. And that's something which also Indian industry has been definitely vouching upon. As a Cadila Pharmaceuticals, we always remain committed to provide the affordable drug all over the world. And that probably will be helped by these technologies, this approach, to achieve the goal which we have been working upon.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mahidhwaj Sisodia. Let's have a perspective from Dr. Avadhut Parab. Dr. Parab, your take on the future, in the sense what needs to be done more for uh, the pharma sector, especially when you talk about leveraging technology.
I think each company is expanding the digital footprint, but what is happening is we are moving from where we are to a better tomorrow with the digital. The next step of ours should be a ecosystem approach than a system approach, which is integrating the partners, integrating whether it is the customer side or vendor side, because the real information, the live information, the action information is there outside the four wall. And if you can and digital definitely makes the inroads towards it, and it is the canvas, it can expand the canvas, unlike your electronic system, which is more aligned to your process, aligned to your culture, aligned to your values, what can be done, what can be allowed, what is allowed, not allowed. But digital is all about the data on which you ride on which you take decision. So ecosystem approach would definitely be a co-creation of a value. And if we can be there, and it is not easy today, we have connected most of our stockists, we have connected doctors to wherever possible, and there are avenues, options. Technology is very easy to handshake, and while the handshake happens, each one, as I mentioned earlier, need to know, need to do basis. You need not have to share your core, but what is required to have an exchange kind of engagement, you can do that. And underlying today, you can use any vehicle technology. You can see the basket of technologies are there which you can make. So that's a one move, and this move has to be thought of well in line with your strategy, whether it is a growth strategy or whether it is a operational excellence.
If you can unmute your mic, please.
Okay, sorry, I knew not when I became mute. Anyway, just to repeat, so this is the first step. We have to move from a system to an ecosystem approach. It's a confluence of company, confluence of partners, your contract management, whosoever it could be, from the vendors, customers, your contract manufacturing, your even regulatory auditors, or your service providers. So if you can make that as an approach, you will. That's one. Second is more and more organized. The approach is moving from a capex approach to the opex approach. Why should I invest just into a equipment? Is there a subscription based options which are also started coming? It is no longer a software, but even instruments and all kind of things. So that's a one area. The last point I would like to also put it on a cyber security in connection with the risk. We have seen the recent attacks which had happened in many pharmaceutical. There is no segregation of uh, segregation by function in the manufacturing side. And when I mean that, if attack happens on a quality system, the attacker can move laterally from quality to manufacturing to any engineering, anywhere. So now there also we need to have a very, very I would say design which would disallow the lateral movement even if the attack happens. Second is the firewall has to be separate for manufacturing, firewall has to be separate for quality, other areas. So we need to invest into a different architecture of OT, so that even if the attack happens, it does not laterally move, and you will be able to detect it much faster. So these are while you are expanding this needs to be taken care. Our IT systems are always stronger, and they were always getting attention of cyber control. But OT part, you need to have a different design than what we do it for IT. Thinking has to be slightly different. So that's my view from what we can do, and of course there will be different approaches to it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Avadhut Parab, AVP IT, Wockhardt Limited, Mr. Mahidhwaj Sisodia, Head International Formulation Business, Cadila Pharmaceuticals Limited, and Mr. Srinivasa Reddy, Vice President and CIO, Granules India Limited, for joining us for a very important session of APAC Pharma Tech Innovation Conclave, in the session where we talked about uh, taking pharma sector through newest technologies like IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, and all of you have stressed the importance of how important it is to use these new age technologies, making organizations cyber resilient, and also at the same time uh, focusing more or focusing also on integration at different level, and also interoperability part. Thank you so much. That is the crux of the discussion, if I say so. And let me also inform you and all our audience that we will be creating event report of this event and session wise, which will be circulating to all the stakeholders, so that some action can be taken based on this discussion today. Thank you so much again, Srinivas Reddy, Mahidhwaj Sisodia, and Dr. Avadhut Parab, for joining us today in a very important session on newest technology for pharma sector at APAC Pharma Tech Innovation Conclave. Thank you so much. Let me also inform our audience that do join us for the next session at 4:30 today, which will be on reimagining and re-strategizing supply chain management in the new world order, which will be moderated by Mr. Sudhir Gautam, Resident Editor and Head South India APAC News Network. There also eminent speakers will be part of that panel. So do join us for that session at 4:30 today. Till then, thank you so much. Goodbye. Take care, all of you. Stay home, stay safe. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.